everyone. My name is Audra Acey, and on behalf of the SUNY IT Foundation and the SUNY IT Alumni Association, I get to welcome you here this morning. Thanks so much for joining us. I wanted to especially acknowledge Jim McCarthy, who is the president of Northland Communications and is on our foundation board of directors, and also Eamon Kelleher from Assemblymember Sturpey's office. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. As you know, this is a significant turning point for the college and also our region, and we want to make sure our alumni are kept up to date on all that's happening. And so this is actually the first of what we're hoping will be a series of SUNY IT Summits, where we can get our alumni and business people and community leaders together to provide updates, have a conversation about everything that's happening. So I wanted to thank Empower Federal Credit Union and Frank Mancari, who is an alumnus, who's very active as an alumnus, who works here at Empower, who offered to host us today. And Frank, like a few of you in the room, has 2 degrees from SUNY IT, both a bachelor's and an MBA. And he's spent his career here at Empower and has been integral in the significant growth that the credit union has experienced in recent years. So I'll turn it over to Frank.
Thank you. Welcome everyone to Empower Federal Credit Union. I'd like to say a special thanks to Joan. I don't see her here, but she put together this, and Alicia, she helped me with this. And at the end of the conference here, if you want to see the back office operations of a top-notch financial institution, we will be offering tours. And now I'd like to introduce the President and Chief Executive Officer of Empower Federal Credit Union, Mr. John Wakefield.
Welcome, everybody. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
You learn more about this organization every day.
Everybody hear me okay?
Sure.
Thank you all for coming. We really enjoy when companies come and use our facilities. This is what this was designed for, not only for ourselves, but for member companies. We have just a little bit about Empower. We have over 3,000 member companies, and credit unions are a little bit unique in the market versus a bank, and I'm not sure if any of you understand the differences or care. But there has to be some kind of common bond between a credit union and a bank, and versus a bank. And so for credit unions, you're either one of 2 methods to be able to join a credit union. So there's limitations on how to join. Many credit unions have gone to what they call geographical-based membership. So if you're within a particular geographical boundary, you can join the credit union. For Empower, we're traditionalists in terms of where we have an agreement with member companies, and then member companies, from a regulatory perspective, sign a piece of paper that we submit to our regulator, which allows those particular employees of that business to be able to join Empower as a member. That's different than a bank where you just walk in and open up an account. But that's just part of our charter, and that's part of our uniqueness, and that's what keeps us as a nonprofit, because we're more for members and we're not stock-based. So that's probably more than you ever wanted to know about, a credit union and its chartering abilities and how members can join. Empower itself, just a little background. About 8 years ago, I was running a credit union about $250 million. We merged with another $250 million credit union a quarter mile down the street, downtown Syracuse. $550 million when we merged. That was about 7-8 years ago, and we've grown to be about $1.3 billion today. So we've been on a fast track of extreme growth, and what you see today in this facility is a success story of that growth. We needed to consolidate, and we were in 4 different buildings, and we moved, and we're going to soon to be 5 for the corporate headquarters. And I don't know about you, but managing people is difficult enough, especially, no, just kidding, Alicia. Some more than others, but the issue really became issue of in being in trying to manage people in different buildings. So we came here, renovated it to be green, LEED ready. There was no real interest on our part to be certified and pay the extra $100,000 to be certified, but we can do that at any time. So if you do take a tour, there's lots of green initiatives that we put in place, lots of reusable type systems and energy efficient systems throughout the whole building. So we're trying to do our part for the environment, and I think, again, it's just a great place to work, and if you do get a chance to tour the facility, you'll see a lot of that. As far as, I said 3,000 member companies, 130,000 members, 1.3 billion in assets. And I think one of the unique things that we do, you got to find your niche. And one of the niches that we have is the way in which we do lending. Very old-fashioned. We look at every loan, and 2 or more people have to deny a loan. We approve over 90%. I think the ratio right now is averaging in the 12-month average, 94%. We fund over 85% of our loans, and we've figured out how to get people to pay us back even though they've proven they don't pay anybody else. We don't use strong arm tactics, but we've been able to go beyond just a credit report and a credit score, and we look at the person's character, and I'll give you an example. And this is something that just kind of makes sense in terms of what we look for. Are you ready for the video? I'm almost done now. So if credit score or credit report's never going to tell you how long somebody's lived in their apartment or how long somebody has worked in their job. So if somebody has done that for, like, say, very stable for 5 years versus somebody that's always changing either their apartment every 6 months or their job every 6 months, who shows stability? The one that's been there for 5 years? Those are the people that we take a chance on, and we explain to them that obviously if they don't pay on their automobile loan and they have a job and they have to get it to get to work, we just tell them eventually if you do not pay, you will be a pedestrian. So we're already trying to get people who really don't understand how the financial services and how loans work and how checking accounts work. Really, we go through a heavy educational process with people who really need it. And amazingly, even in today's technology environment and the number of members that we have, we do take the time to get it right. And that's how come we have these high approval ratios and funding ratios, which just to give you kind of an example, I think the average for banks in most credit unions are about 60% approvals and 50% funding. We've been doing it for years. You would think our delinquencies and charge-offs would be greater than the national averages, but they're less. So again, we figured out how to get people who've proven that they don't pay you back to pay us at least. So with that, if you'd like to play the video, did you have that? Yes. I have this video, it's a training video that we use, and the question that you always have to ask, can a company have a soul? If you were to ask me, what's the soul of Empower, it's all wrapped up into this video. And again, welcome to Empower. Hopefully it didn't take too long.
Thank you so much, John, and thanks once again to Empower for hosting us this morning. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our first speaker from SUNY IT, Dr. Robert Geer, who joined us in August 2013 from the College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering in Albany. And it's great to have such a thoughtful and strong leader at this important time. Dr. Geer's done a lot in a very short amount of time, and so I'll turn it over to him to give you an update.
Thanks very much, John. Thank you so much for offering up a beautiful facility and for just a delightful tour. Just a wonderful building, and you can see it's a great environment for the employees here. I was drooling over the cafe you have. I mentioned I was ready to just pop down there with my laptop and get some work done. But I'm thrilled to be here to talk to alumni. One of the greatest things about coming to SUNY IT was it has such an active alumni community, more than 24,000 of you. So that's great. And I've been in SUNY in the system since I came to academia more than 18 years ago. So it was very exciting to me to come to the campus in Utica. I wanted to take this opportunity to sort of give you a little update on how your alma mater is doing. SUNY IT has certainly one of the newer entities in SUNY, and I think one of the most beautiful campuses in the system. And over the last, certainly since I joined, and really before that, has really been on an upward trajectory. One of the most exciting things to happen over the course in my time has been the kickoff of what Acey Dix will talk about in terms of Nano Utica. And what I'd like to say is the blossoming of the academics at SUNY IT, and Provost Durgin will speak to that. I wanted to talk a little bit about, in terms of alumni, a little bit about the direction of the institution. Not too long ago, SUNY IT kicked off a tagline, New York's Public Polytechnic. And that's exactly where it had grown from its beginnings back in the late 60s and early 70s. Now as it moved to its current campus location in the early 80s, SUNY IT has always had a focus, much as the name implies, on the STEM fields, business, nursing, engineering, and so forth. And of course, many of you, as your time there certainly bridged over going from a 2-year upper division type of institution to a full 4-year division as the graduate programs have grown. So likewise, I think continuing very linearly, if you will, since I'm a geek, I'm a physicist, so I think, on this evolution, SUNY IT is once again making those tracks from movement to the campus in our current location in the early 80s, introduction of 4-year degrees in 2003, and at this point, really jumping into the public-private partnership role that SUNY, to be honest, has been a pioneer in with Nano Utica. And the next step, the most recent step, in March, the SUNY Board of Trustees unanimously approved the merger of SUNY IT and the College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering. I say merger. In essence, it's the College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering, this entity which was part of the University of Albany, transferring its programs, lock, stock, and barrel, to SUNY IT. And so now we think of SUNY IT, it's really essentially now an institution with 2 campuses going forward. A 4-year campus, of course, in Utica, with a large breadth of programs. Bill will talk about those. And a focused campus in Albany, focused on nanotechnology. This, I think, is a perfect step for SUNY IT to really be able to go from where it's been to grow dramatically, and really it's one of the few campuses in New York State in the SUNY system that has the room to grow, that really has the ability to expand out these programs. So from what we've been in terms of the engineering technology, the engineering, the nursing, the business programs, we all see those as having room now and resources to grow. And I think you've seen it not only in terms of some of the more recent announcements, whether it's by Governor Cuomo, Whether it's the fact that later today we'll start a job fair at SUNY IT. We're expecting 2,000 people, more or less, throughout the course of the day to come there. I think that's an incredible statement, especially for the Mohawk Valley. So this evolution of SUNY IT, excuse me, I think is leading the way. I think this is really what a 21st century college and eventually university need to be. That is something that not only leads by having its students there, but leads by creating opportunities for the students to take advantage of. I think this is precisely what New York State has been pushing. I think Governor Cuomo has been pushing this a great deal, and regardless of your politics, I'm not going to turn down a check for $1.5 billion. I was really thrilled that SUNY IT could be the place where this lands. So I really think that is the nature of higher education going forward. Not only to be a place where students get that preparation, but a place where students get that preparation and a chance to participate, and a chance to experience that. So not only to have classrooms and faculty and so forth, all the things you expect and we all remember from our own college years, but have people that are doing that are participating and driving that growth on your campus, working right next to you. Acey will talk a little bit about this facility which is going up that you see on the screen right here. This is not just a building that SUNY IT is hosting. This is part of SUNY. This is a building the students will be able to go into. They'll be able to work with the partners that utilize that facility. Much like your workspace here, we'll have glass walls, not something that companies can hide their technology behind, but a way for companies to invite students in and utilize it. And that's precisely the type of model that we think the modern technology college and universities need to have. And I think that's been happening across the country. I'm thrilled that SUNY is taking the lead on this, and I can think of no better place than SUNY IT to start that. And I can think of no better place in the Mohawk Valley to host it. Listen, I think we're all familiar with the history of upstate New York. There's been decades of challenges in terms of industry changeovers, in terms of lifestyle changeovers. I see a lot of great success here in central New York, in Syracuse, obviously. I think these are tremendous opportunities that are in front of the Mohawk Valley, and I'm really proud that SUNY IT is helping take that lead and raising its profile. So I don't want to monopolize the time. I'd really love to invite the next speaker up here, which is our Provost, Bill Durgin, to talk to you more about the academics and things that are going on at SUNY IT. So thanks very much.
Everyone, this is a fun day for us to be able to brag a little bit about what's going on the campus. And I just did a little bit of an inventory because I thought you'd be interested in sort of the way things go in the academic world. They tend to come in waves. You know, in the fall you get new students, and then you come to sort of the end of the first semester and you take a holiday break, and then you come back and get started again, and then eventually you come up to this particular time of the year, which is really exciting. Because everybody's looking towards commencement. Everybody that hasn't quite done everything they wanted to do during the year wants to sort of finish it up. And there is just all sorts of activity, especially among the student ranks. And so I did a little bit of an inventory here just to capture some of the things that students have done during the last week. And I thought you might be interested in that. One group was out in St. Louis. This is our first robotics team. Went to the national championships and went out and participated and just got back, and they had a terrific time. And it's a rookie team. This is our first year, and they did mighty well for their first time out. And that was great fun. We sent down to Albany our business plan competition students who participated in the contest down there, and they did very, very well. I think one of our teams came in fourth in that contest, so it was a terrific experience for the students to be able to present their plans and focus a little bit on entrepreneurship. Our civil engineering students went down to Cornell, where they participated in something called the Steel Bridge Competition, which is a civil engineering student contest each year, and they came in fourth in that particular contest. 2 weekends ago, we had cybersecurity team down in Providence. This is a very, very popular activity among our student clubs. This is when computer science students all get together and solve some technical challenges competing against other colleges. And they did, again, we're very, very proud of that team, the cybersecurity gang, because they always seem to do well in the regional and in the Northeast and in the national competitions. They really excel. Last week we held what was called a project showcase on campus, where about 70 of our students presented their senior project work. And most of those are done in teams, so there might be 2 or 3 or 4 students working on it, and they draw up a poster and they stand by their poster, and we send some faculty around to judge, and we award prizes for the students in terms of the work that they've done. And it's a wonderful way to celebrate all the terrific work that especially the seniors have done during the academic year. So that was also last week. We held a student awards banquet, which was actually run by the students, and it's quite an elegant affair. The students all get dressed up to the nines, and they have a dinner, and they present the various awards. The different clubs get awards, and individual students get awards, and even some faculty and staff get awards as well from the student groups. But it's a very, very special night to celebrate the achievements of the academic year. And the last thing I'll mention along those connections is that we have a club on campus called the Sociology and Psychology Club, and they specialize in fundraising in order to support various activities and important needs in the community. And they held their fundraising banquet about a week ago, and they raised $8,000 to support the returning veterans who needed various rehabilitation activities, and they focused on equine rehabilitation technologies, which is popular in the Utica region. So very, very proud of that club. It's worth mentioning that they've brought in since their existence, more than $100,000, which they've donated to various needs in the area. Just let me say a few words about faculty. One of the great needs on our campus right now is recruiting new faculty, and one of the things that we focus very, very strongly on is recruiting the right faculty, the strong faculty that will help us move the institution forward. And we're really proud that last year we were able to bring on board 10 new faculty members. It looks like this year we'll be bringing on 8 more, and next year probably another similar number. Plus, as we move forward, of course, we will add into that all the faculty down at the CNSE. So we'll have quite a large faculty within probably a year. We'll have more than 150 faculty members all told, which is about doubling what it was 2 years ago. So tremendous movement there in terms of building the strength of the institution. We have quite a few new programs. Bob mentioned some of the existing programs that are thriving and doing very well. Business is doing well. Nursing is doing exceedingly well. As a matter of fact, we have a long waiting list for many of our nursing programs on campus right now. But we've also added new programs in the last 3 years. I'll mention some of them. We've added civil engineering, electrical and computer engineering, mechanical engineering, and those are all in addition to the engineering technology programs that you're probably most of the alumni are familiar with that existed in the past. But we've got those 3 new engineering programs. We also have an exciting new program in community and behavioral health that is really doing very, very well. Very popular amongst prospective students. Our network and computer security program is out of sight. It seems like this is an enormous societal need, and the students pick up on that, and we're just flooded with applicants for those programs. Fortunately, my computer science faculty are of a mind to just bring me as many students as you want. We will deal with it, and so they generally have very large classes, and they're really overwhelmed with students right now, but doing very well. We also have a new program in applied math that is particularly exciting at the undergraduate level, and we're going to expand that up to the graduate level fairly soon. In my position, one of the things I seem to spend most of my life dealing with are accreditation agencies, and you hear on the news, the federal concerns with cost of education, the quality of education nationwide. And we spend a lot of time working on those issues, and necessarily, and these organizations hold our feet to the fire in terms of a number of aspects of what we do academically. But recently we've succeeded in regaining nursing accreditation for our programs. Our business programs have been recently reaccredited. They were here just about 3 months ago, the visiting team there from the business folks, the AACSB. We're right now preparing for our initial accreditation in electrical and computer engineering. They'll be here in the fall. Our engineering technology programs will all be reaccredited next year as well, and the visiting team will be here next spring. And the big deal right now is what we call regional accreditation. And ours is called Middle States, and that's the agency that accredits us. And that's particularly important because all federal funding requires that you be regionally accredited, and regional accreditation agencies are certified by the federal government to conduct the accreditations on college campuses, and that's a big deal. We've been working on that now for 1.5 years in preparation for a visit that will take place next spring. One of the fundamentals of regional accreditation is what we call outcomes assessment. Probably all of you in your businesses are engaged in some sort of quality maximization, quality improvement in your organizations. In higher academics, we call it outcomes assessment, where we have to assess student learning, we have to assess program strength and accomplishments, and it's an enormous task that goes on constantly on our campuses, and we're pretty sure we're ready for them next spring. So it's good fun. It results in continuous improvement of what we do academically, and terribly important to our campus. The last thing I want to mention is that we are presently enjoying a tremendous success in recruiting students. The institution is very, very popular right now. Last year we saw an 11% increase in our student body. We're looking at least 8% increase next fall, probably more than that, but our conservative estimate is 8%. And it's across the board. It's not specific programs, it's all of our programs are experiencing growth. Every single degree program right now is experiencing growth and extreme popularity. With that, we've also managed to increase our retention tremendously. These are kinds of measures that we worry about in academia. And we look, for example, at one indication, and that's the freshman to sophomore success rate. And we are now achieving 85% success in bringing our freshman students into the sophomore year, which is really high. If you get up into that range, you're in the very, very strong state institutions. You have to get into some of the elite private institutions to get above 90%, but that's where we're shooting right now, and we think we'll get there. That growth is driving a number of problems on campus. Not the least is academic space, which is now at a premium, and lots of jockeying for position there. Not the least of which is our dormitory space, and it looks like next year we will completely fill our dormitories. And so we have to consider now what we're going to do in the future. And one of the things that we need to do is to build more dorms on campus. And so that action has been initiated with the SUNY Construction Fund people, and we'll be looking forward to getting some new dorms starting soon. From Pete's point of view, one of the things that I press him hard for is financial aid. Every one of these new students that comes on board brings with them some need for financial aid. A lot of smart kids out there that don't come from families with enough resources to be able to attend college, and so raising the funds from businesses, from alumni, and even from our own faculty and staff to support our financial aid funding is terribly important to us, and it really is tremendously important to the state and to our own success. So we're having good success there, and we intend to keep moving forward in that area. But all in all, the campus is doing tremendously well right now. We're all really excited because with the addition of the Nano College down from Utica, we'll greatly increase the number of faculty. It will also expand our academic programs. We'll get 2 new bachelor's program, one in nanoscale engineering and the other in nanoscale science. And we'll also be adding master's programs. We're also adding PhD programs for the first time. So these are tremendously exciting times for our campus and for our school. So we're all excited. Lots of work to be done. Somebody mentioned before that you know, the acquisition and the merger is you know, tremendously complicated and an awful lot of work, but well worth it. It's going to result in a very, very strong institution as we move forward. So bright future for our campus, and we're really happy to have all you turn out this morning, and we're really thrilled to you know, have the opportunity to be able to tell you a little bit more about what goes on the campus, which is my real job here is to introduce Alicia Dix. Alicia is the president of the Fort Skyland Management Corporation, and it's the outfit that is building this building and running these parallel operations on our campus, and responsible for not only the logistics and the management of all that, but also in large part responsible for the future of the campus as well. So, Alicia, this is yours now.
Good morning. You guys are more asleep than the students usually. Thanks for having us. Great facility. I was taking some conscious notes walking into the lobby. I was pretty impressed with the materials you guys used here. So I'm thinking Quad C's lobby might look a little bit like Empower's lobby when you come up the building. A lot of neat modern features here. So kudos to you guys for a job well done. Great facility. I can tell some of the employees are pretty thrilled to be in such a great working environment, and it's very important to provide a good environment for work and collaboration and partnership, which is really what the Quad C is all about. You guys have all heard about nanotech and semiconductor coming. A lot of you that have been at the college in years past as students may have heard the rumblings in the community over the last 10, 12 years. It's coming, it's coming. I certainly have heard it. I've been in the community about 13 years, and the first day I started was we were working on the Marcy Nano Center project, which is just on the west side of the campus, where they're planning to put a 3 manufacturing fabrication plant development, which is going to be huge impact for the whole mega region, the whole corridor from Albany, even stretched out beyond Syracuse. It's something that's been in play for a long time. So getting the Quad C, which is the Computer Chip Commercialization Center, I never like to say the whole acronym, so I'm sorry for all the alphabet soup today, but Quad C is just that. It's a commercialization center for the semiconductor industry to advance to the next technology. And you guys have all remember the phone when it first came out, the cell phone, how big and clunky it was, maybe in the late 70s, early 80s, and how you could only just make a call or get a call. And now look at the device you have in your hand today, how it is expanded in just a short decade or two. That technology is that new technology advancement. They're constantly pushing the envelope to get to the next generation. And what's exciting is that Albany already has the roots to do that, has already set those standards and gotten to the next generation technology that is pushing the industry to the next device, the next capability, the next application. So really exciting times for New York, which is why you'll always see the governor, the state involved, because the model is make some facilities happen, bring all the partners in, play in the sandbox, so to speak. I try to make this so my mom can understand it, because a lot of folks don't get what Nano is and they don't get the whole model. And it's basically bringing the industry partners to do some commonality, research, development, commercialization, prototyping, and then let them get out of those walls and be fierce competitors again. Because if you follow the technology news, they're always in combat, or they're always suing each other for IP or whatever. But in these walls that CNSC has started to formulate and bring commonality to them, and in the walls of SUNYIT at Quad C, they'll be able to work together, bring more technology, more collaboration, more partnership to our community, to our upstate community, and then go out and get to market quick. It's not an R&D center like we think of an R&D center. These guys don't want to sit here for 15 years and study something. They want 18 months to get to market, get to margin. So very different model, very fast-tracked, but very much in pace with our students, who are very interested in the technology and using it, and very interested in how to use it and applying it. So the application side of it is very attractive to students. And being side by side with those corporate partners is incredibly beneficial. Provides great opportunities, as we all know, when you're standing side by side with a company like Samsung or IBM or Intel or any of the partners that do work right now at CNSE, your opportunities are just overwhelming. Much more than what maybe a SUNY IT grad 5 years ago would say, well, I didn't have that opportunity, I didn't have an internship, I didn't, whatever we didn't offer then, we're going to be really offering now, and not off campus, right in the interior of campus, which is pretty exciting. So the building is pretty modern. I'm going to talk a little bit about why it's special, but I really want to just kind of get over the whole nano thing, because many people I speak to, especially students and even the K-12 student pipeline, that's critical to be successful in upstate New York and building that STEM pipeline, so I get inhibited, almost intimidated by nano, clean room. I don't get it, what is it, I can't do it. And we want to remind you, it's just a scale, it's a measurement. Nano is bringing the microprocessor and the semiconductor, all the circuitry that goes on that chipboard to a microscopic level, so that you can put more on a chip, make it more efficient, make it more productive, use less energy, all the things that make that more effective. Make it smaller, make it more effective. So we also try to get folks to visualize that it's really tiny, right? So this is a picture of a chip that was blown up. I don't know what the scale of blowing up is, but the chip is probably about half the size of your pinky. So when you think about all the stuff that's on a chip to make the chip function in the car, the airplane, your phone, whatever device it goes in, it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around what's going on in that platform. But if you really blow it up and you put it into a 3D model, it looks like, an energy circuit, a bunch of power being pushed around and memory, logic, all sorts of functions going on a chip. So, and there's places for everybody in that. A lot of folks think, well, I don't know what nanoscience is. I'm not going to go into that field. But there's chemistry, there's physicists, there's electrical engineering, materials engineering, industrial engineering, you name it. They all play in that one clean room environment. All the different disciplines come together. So whatever track folks are interested in, we say, stay the course. Stay in the STEM-related lines, because these jobs are for everybody. There's a piece for everything, because there's so many different layers and processes to make this chip function once it goes into your device, that it's not just one discipline, it's many. So that's what's exciting. It captures a large net. And really, that's what's important when we're promoting STEM, because we need to fill the buildings with talent. One of the main reasons the industry is in upstate New York is because we've got a robust pool of talent. Much of the industry's employees are already coming from upstate colleges and going global to their facilities. Clarkson, RIT, RPI, CNSE, you name it, Cornell, Binghamton. They're already feeding the industry, so why not keep our core resource, one of the treasured resource, our talent, our people, and try to get them employment at home. So really this is about bringing it home, growing from within, not transplanting all the talent. Some will have to come, but really working on the K-12 pipeline and being in the interior of an institution like SUNY IT, partnering up with CNSE and other institutions like MVCC and Onondaga Community College, all pipelines that feed into the industry. Absolutely critical for their success and ours. But the one thing I love to stress to students is it's also the A for art and innovative thinking and creative thought. Because any of you guys know an engineer, it's very methodical, very straight lines, linear, as Dr. Geer had said. And you really need the creative thinking and pushing the envelope on some of the next generation technologies that are developing in the facilities right here in upstate New York. So we like to call it STEAM, which is kind of the new buzzword going on in all the K through 12 schools. But it's hard to get some of our students to actually stick to the STEM-related, STEAM-related disciplines because of all the stigmas related to it. And really, we don't want to lose that opportunity to bridge those job opportunities with our own talent. So that work has to get done, and it is getting done. It's being, there's great models in Albany already being published. Mohawk Valley and the greater region are also trying to get that pipeline because, again, the talent is a big piece to make this operation a success. So that's Nano. That's part of the reason why they're here right on campus. But what is Nano Utica? And a lot of folks, and I mentioned before, have been hearing about it for a long time. But last October, Governor Cuomo came and announced the $1.5 billion. And I had heard for years a lot of naysayers, a lot of negative, it'll never come, never come. And after the announcement, somebody came up to me and said, well, Buffalo got $1 billion, Buffalo $1 billion. I see 1.5 billion last time I checked is more than $1 billion. So we're doing pretty good for a little community like Utica and Mohawk Valley. But there has been a kind of a hard left from where we were to where we're going. I think folks are finally starting to think about growth instead of dealing with steady decline and economic downturn. And I love this Hippo's billiard place in Oriskany, which I was driving by one day and almost went right off the road when they got it, and they had this sign up that says Nano Nano. Now I'm sure he knows it's not just Mork and Mindy. I think he knows that Nano Nano is a big deal for our region. But there's been a great buzz, and it's an incredibly important buzz because it's all about the jobs. It's all about the opportunities we're bringing. And it's high-tech jobs, and it's high-paying jobs, and they're growth trajectory jobs. They're, if you're in a clean room environment, that experience and expertise is very valuable in the job market today. The building that we're building, the Quad C, is a $125 million building alone. Just the building itself, because it's clean room. It's very specific and special space. There are 3 phases. We're building the first of 3 today. It's all about that partnership that Dr. Geer talked about. It's taking that Albany model and using the best principles of that and applying them in Mohawk Valley, which is all about partnership. Taking the industry's needs, mitigating some of their costs by bringing them into a collaborative environment so that they can be more competitive. And it's all about that bottom line. The only C in Quad C you have to really remember is commercialization. How do you get them to margin as quick as you can? Workforce training, student, faculty engagement, all critical components of this project. And in fact, we've already started. We're not waiting until the building gets done in December to bridge student engagement and faculty engagement. We actually have already hired we hired 8 interns. 2 of them have already graduated from SUNY IT and now are full-time employees of our design build firm, M&W, which both have said, I came to SUNY IT thinking I'd have to go to New York or the West Coast or somewhere else to get a job. And here I'm in a world-class facility. I'm with a world-class company based in Dresden, Germany, and I have the whole world at my doorstep right now, an opportunity. So think about those opportunities that already exist today that weren't there 2 years ago. The student engagement is also with some of the clubs that Dr. Geer mentioned, and Dr. Durgin. Some of the clubs are doing a LEED certified signage program for the building to point out what is, LEED certified level in the building. One is doing a bus shelter that they just got a $6,100 grant. They just wrote a grant. A bunch of students get together with the professor, and they're going to do a energy sustainable bus shelter outside the building. There's a couple other student projects going on, but again, bringing the engagement in now, not waiting for the partnerships to come in and engage in the clean room. Really exciting for the students. Every student I engage with, they are just absolutely thrilled. They go down, they have a student station at the site, they can work on the designs, they can look at logistics and material allocation for the construction, they can do monitoring and measurements for specific class projects. We have all that set aside for them down at the trailer for the site. But what's really exciting is today, as Dr. Geer said, we have over 1,500 registered for this job fair for Nano Utica. And we're expecting over 2,000. Many of those are our own students. But many of those are folks that have left the region and want to come back. And many of them are gainfully employed that say, I want to do better. I want to see what opportunities are there. And many of them are people thinking, you know what, I have a 4-year degree. Do I go back and get that 2-year degree so I can be a technician? Do I get an advanced degree? What do I need to do to compete and get jobs? Because the jobs are going to be here. We start with about 500 jobs in the next 2 to 3 years. Then we get 500 more with phase 2 and 500 more with phase 3. Each phase is 500 jobs. Each phase is a $500 million project. That's where you get the 1.5 billion. 1,500 jobs. Pretty big impact for a small little campus in a semi-small little town. These are the partners that were announced with the Nano Utica announcement in October. Some new, some well-known, but again, having the opportunity to build your experience and your resume with a partner company like this in a clean room environment, and it's not just clean room, it's IT, it's facilities management, it's the business acumen to manage everything that's going on in the clean room. It's a lot of different disciplines, again, playing in that sandbox. So lots of opportunities for those job seeking, but also for our students to do research, development, collaborate with projects as we already are seeing. And again, the Albany model, I really like to talk about the fact that I think Dr. Geer was there when they started in the basement lab of the physics department at SUNY Albany 18 years ago. They've grown in this facility on the west side of the SUNY Albany campus. And if anybody has gone to Albany off the thruway, you see the big white boxes as you get off the thruway exit. That's the CNSE campus. And they started with one little building with less than 500 square feet of clean room not that many years ago, 12, 13, maybe 14 years ago. And within a decade or so, they've grown to almost a full expansion of the site that they have, where they have over $1.3 million square feet of facility and over 150,000 square feet of clean room. And clean room is very, again, specific space, very, very expensive space. So to grow from 500 to 150,000 in that many years is pretty significant. And just so you can put this in perspective, Quad C at SUNY IT, we're starting with 56,000 square feet of clean room, day one. So we're already almost half, a quarter of the way, a third of the way there. But this facility, yeah, great facilities, but what's really important about it is a college that's got this robust network of corporate and industry partnerships that are in and out of that facility every day. And it's the whole food chain of the semiconductor industry. It's the big guys, Intel and Samsung and all the guys that you hear about in the news every day, but it's the little guys. It's the materials company, the entire supply chain are doing business there to improve their pieces of the components and the processes that go into the semiconductor industry. Very robust partnership, and that is the key word. The state comes in, builds the facilities, the companies come in, put in the tools, they do the work, they get out, they're competitive, companies keep coming in. So I think there's over 3,100 employees there today, and growing. 2 new buildings are being built as we speak. Last 2 buildings, unless they move the New York State Thruway. There's nowhere else to put them, unless they go up. So the model works. I get a lot of interest like, well, is this building going to just sit there? I mean, what's going to happen? This is what's going to happen. It's already proof in the pudding. So the building in Utica, it's big. It's on a small 61,000 square foot footprint, but it's a pretty tall and impressive building. It's 253,000 square feet in total. As I said, it's got 56,000 square feet of clean room, very flexible clean room. Can be shaped and reconfigured for almost anything the industry can throw at us, which is a great asset for us to have on our campus, to have that kind of capability. There's 2 levels on our clean room, which is also pretty impressive. I think we're the first to be built in the US. Very common in Asia to build and stack clean rooms. Not in the US, only because we usually have space to spread out. But class 100 on the first level, class 1,000 on the second. Just to give you some a relationship and the cleanliness, the class means it's how pure the air is. Because at a microscopic level, we are the filthiest thing in that room, right? Anytime you rub your hands together, those microscopic particles that create dust can be catastrophic to the processes you're working on. So we're in bunny suits. Class 100 means 1 particle per cubic yard is allowed in that whole environment. Class 1,000 is 10 per cubic yard and so on. And just to give you a little bit of relevance, operating room that we all have surgery in is a class 10,000, much dirtier. So a lot of facilities in this, a lot of air handling units, a lot of plumbing. And there's actually more plumbing and HVAC folks that are slightly higher certification than you would get in a regular trades program, but not a big leap, maybe 3 to 6 months of training. There are more of those guys in this building than there are probably PhDs, because the systems can never go down. They can never leak. They can never have any faults or issues. They're constantly being monitored. So again, we're talking about this wide range of discipline and job opportunity for lots of different types of people. This is the Marcy Nano Center. I mentioned it. Mohawk Valley Edge is the other partner here with us. They are taking that west side over almost 400 acres and putting 3 fabrication plants on them. Right now, as we speak, they're moving National Grid transmission lines to clear the site to get it ready for a new tenant to come in. Quad C, as you can see, is this little yellow spot. Pales in comparison to size, but that is where the $1.5 billion investment's going, not across the street. That is earmarked at about a $17 billion investment once you build out all 3 fabrication plants. And here's the other cool thing about Marcy Nano Center. They're not designing for the 300 millimeter wafer, which is what is manufactured in the wafer world today. Semiconductors, they make the wafer, they cut the little square chips off of it, and they put it in your devices. Right now, in Albany, one of the only tools in the world to make the 450 wafer, which doubles the size, is being commercialized in Albany. And once they finish that whole process design is going to be put into a plant. That plant is being designed for a 450 wafer manufacturing, not 300 millimeter. Again, cutting edge, first out of the gate. Good stuff for upstate New York. Phase 1, like I said, is what we're building today. You can see the box. You guys most of you where Kinsella Hall is in the library, if you know the campus. So we're right between the facilities building and Kinsella Hall. And phase 2 goes right next to it, and phase 3 goes right out over the facilities building. We'll have to find them a new home. But a pretty large development, again, on the interior of the campus. That access and partnership with faculty and students is really going to be seamless. Dr. Geer mentioned this. The facility is a showcase. It's not for, they're going to go in there and shut the doors and the windows and do their stuff. It's really opened. There's a corridor of glass when you walk in, so you can see right into the clean room. There's space for all sorts of lectures and collaborative meeting. It's really meant to integrate the commercial industry tenants with the partnerships in our community and at the college. It's not meant to kind of be this little envelope of work that nobody knows what's going on. We want it to be an integral development for the campus, faculty, students, and community at large. We want to bring K-12 kids through there, constantly. We want it open to the public. So the front band is 4 levels of offices. The clean room is the orange, gold. There's 2 levels of that. And then the back is all the facilities and utilities that make the clean room function. But our tenants have already outgrown the space that we built in the clean room, so we had to take the first floor of our office space and pull out the concrete we just poured and re-pour for another square footage for our clean room, because that's how fast the technology is moving. They've already outgrown the space, and we're not even, we don't even have our temporary occupancy permit, because the technology is moving that quick. You guys know what, you buy a computer and you know it's going to be outdated in 6 months. You know those stories you hear about technology? I cannot believe the levels of tools that have to go into this building for their processes. And we have a pretty large footprint for clean room, but it wasn't big enough. So very adaptable space. There's an employee entrance that's mindful of any security issues that a company may have, that maybe a Rome Research Lab wants to do some work with us one day, and they have a high security clearance to deal with. So we plan for it. We plan for those types and that level of trusted foundry partnership to keep this building as flexible and as adaptable as possible. So great asset for you to have, on your campus and as an alumni to be pretty proud of. As you walk into the building, you're going to be able to see right into the clean room. You can see the little corner where there's a little bit of yellow. That is the clean room. It's going to be fully glassed. People want to get excited about what's going on. They want to ask questions. They want to see the guys in the bunny suits. That's what gets the kids excited. What are they doing in a bunny suit? And why are they always white? That's the question I get from all the K-6 students. They want to know why they're white, so they're working on that. So we did our groundbreaking in June, so not too long ago. You can kind of see the library in Kinsella, and that's looking east. We're looking on the west side of the facility. And then in, 9 months now, we've finished pouring all the floors. And these concrete floors for the clean room are pretty intense, because the clean room can also not vibrate. So we're actually building 3 different buildings and sequencing them in construction, so that middle building does not vibrate, has, very pure harmonics. So the construction with our trades, and again, we could have hired people from Phoenix and other parts of the world to come and make this building work, but instead we made sure we went local and said, we need to train our trades to get the work done. And they hadn't sequenced or poured a floor like this, but this pour had to be perfect. You know how you see a sidewalk poured and after it's dried, there's already a divot or a crack when the town does a sidewalk? This couldn't have one impurity in it. It had to be complete, like a silk top. Our contractors for concrete were like, what? How do we do that? So, very interesting process to get the trades and everybody up to speed, but we did it, and we've been very successful, and the product has been absolutely outstanding. We've been just plugging along all year, had a couple of hiccups with the weather, but nothing substantial. We actually finished all of our steel despite this great macho winter we just had, 3 weeks early and within, before we, early on our budget as well. And we were really thrilled with that because again, attests to the workforce that we have in the Mohawk Valley. They worked hard right through that winter. But the building is due to be online in December. It is, like I said, going to be a tremendous resource for our campus. And it is supposed to, as everybody, we've all said, it's supposed to be something of a showcase for our community. And it's not just the Mohawk Valley community. This industry is a mega region ecosystem. It doesn't just happen in Utica. It's happening in Albany. That corridor between Albany and Utica is going to grow. The corridor here in Syracuse is going to grow and beyond. Because it's going to take a lot of discipline, a lot of companies, a lot of networking, a lot of material companies, all of the vendor networks that need to come and work in these facilities, support these facilities that need to be nearby. So for every job in that clean room, you create 3 to 5 outside the clean room. And 2 to 3 of those jobs are directly supporting the clean room operation. And then the other 2 jobs are service jobs. So pretty big economic impact for our region in upstate New York. It is the game changer for the economy. This is why you see the governor's office behind all of this, because they're banking on it. We've had a lot of economic development trials over the last couple of decades that really haven't panned out. Maybe a little success here and there, but this has proven success in Albany, and they're threading it west. So think of Nano as little, but the impact is huge. So. Thank you very much, and I don't know if we have questions. Audra,
Yeah, if you guys, if you wanted to just, Dr. Durgin,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Geer as well, if you wanted to. So we're definitely happy to open it up to questions, if anyone has questions.
You've done a great job.
None at all. Yeah, go for it.
So I'm happy to say I'm an alumni, and I work within the semiconductor industry, working for Applied Materials, and I'm based in the New York area. I'm very familiar with CNSC, and Dr. Poyeros' team there, so it's exciting to see what's happening in Utica. I never thought I really would have had much of a reason to come back to some part of the state, so I'm happy to be here today. I just had a question on the Quad C facility. Is that the facility that you intend to bring tenants in for the packaging center?
Yes.
It's not the Bar C?
No, it's packaging.
Okay.
Yeah, specifically advanced nanotechnology solutions, and probably aware that's the company Hector we started. Hector was the former CEO of AMD.
Yeah.
And they're focusing on a sort of a stack 3D integration
Right.
approach. And they're pretty excited about their technology, so they're looking to get going as quickly as possible.
Let me add to that too. We just received a nice award from SUNY, called the SUNY 2020, $15 million to buy characterization equipment, which probably would be of great interest to your activities. We'll be able to significantly upgrade the laboratory facilities on the rest of the campus, all the way from machining equipment to diagnostic equipment, things like electron microscopes and X-ray scattering, CNC machines. So we're going to very exciting times as we try to put even more stuff into Donovan as we move forward.
So I'm from O'Brien and Geer. We're a consulting engineering and construction firm and headquartered in upstate, and we have about 8 offices in upstate, about 500 employees. And my question is on the workforce development for K through 12, the existing student body, and potentially the private partners that are investing in Quad C. Is there a specific process or program or suggestion as to how a private business can partner with the university in support of that workforce development? Is there?
Oh, absolutely. And we benefit from a lot of the Ryan expertise on this. So SUNY IT has a very robust, underpublicized, very robust internship program. And the experiential learning side is obviously one of the low-hanging fruit you can take from the co-location model. I have started already, Acey was talking about the So what SUNY IT, I think, is in a perfect position to do is to expand that model. Because so many of the degree programs, especially those that we're talking about, just lends itself to bringing students with the partners through experiential learning as their time, throughout their time on campus. That's been a very powerful way for us to expand the workforce, and we see that expanding. We see that expanding, especially not only at SUNY IT. I think obviously these facilities are fantastic for it. If you think of Nano across the street, the way Provost was 4 years ago, you can imagine how excited they are to be right next to campus where they can partner on that line itself. And not only for the students, that's but also being able to take the students that come through there and be able to explore the all of the campus for the same. So that's the front and center because it's so important to bring additional employers to the areas because they know they have not only a workforce the size that they can tap, but also a way to renew and refresh it. Every company goes through employee days they move on or they grow in this organization. The K-12 is really critical, especially for those of you who are parents here. As I struggle to work through the common core versions of my kids. But there's my opinion is that there's really only so many things that you can get through the bandwidth of a public school system. And I hate to say that they're, especially in an environment in New York with resources and so forth, I think they have a sort of they're at their capacity. What I think the role of the university has to be is to not think of those as just a few, but to be much more engaged. So at SUNY IT, especially in the last year or so, very focused on working with the K-12 area, especially to take the facilities that we have and make the resources for the K-12 students. Now, we're doing that because obviously the benefit we want those students to stay involved in STEM, students to stay involved in engineering, students to see technology. When they drive by, they like building, we want them to say, oh, there's a lot of jobs in there I know I can do, even if they're not. So that's extremely important. I think that's what this investment is for. And I have to say that that logic is lost. Some of those critical investments that have come from Quad C have come from United County because they know that this is a place where their students can engage and bring more up too. So that's absolutely front and center. I think we really, it's hard to change models, but if you were to come back and say 5 years from now, whether it's during the summer or during the school year, I expect to see many more K-12 students that are getting experience with the kind of schooling we've done. But that's a more active program.
I just like to chase that a little bit with the observation that we're always looking for project opportunities for our students, especially senior project opportunities that we can do in conjunction with companies in the area. And that's growing very, very fast on campuses. Great for us to be able to bring expertise to our students that we can't provide on campus. And it's great to have students working on problems that various industrial firms might have. Perfect. And the other thing that I noticed, one of the things that has really impressed me is the engagement with K-12 schools and some of the Lego robotics activities. It's just enormous. It's so exciting for the students. And we do see, through that program alone, an awful lot of K-12 students on campus. And I think it's incumbent on all of us to stress to government officials and to parents and to teachers the importance of having K-12 students engage in some of the subject areas, especially the STEM areas that really have been neglected over a number of years in the public educational system. And really our future, our own prosperity, our own way of life depends on us being able to produce graduates of the K-12 system who are interested in pursuing some of these industries and engaging in them. So it's really important for all of us to do whatever we can in order to promote strong education in the K-12 system for our students.
Bob, could you expand a little bit on the other growth that's taking place between the Albany-Buffalo corridor?
Certainly, it's great to have a governor that is so focused on upstate New York. It's been a challenging issue for many years. But what I'm very happy about is that we really seized on this public-private partnership approach. There's no question that you guys have been the largest beneficiary, quickest to take advantage of that. But it's really one step in the chain. When you look at not only what Nano College has done, very successful, attracting a company like Provost, which is now the investments are getting up to $10 million in cash. CNSC now we have funding for facilities in Syracuse, in Rochester, on renewable energy, electronics and sensors, and of course, and biotech, bioscience. And this is making what people are calling a nano town. Oh, really?
Okay? Great. So this is really what people are terming a nano canal, in reference to the Earth Canal, obviously. And it's critical. It's getting that it's critical mass, especially for upstate, where there's a tremendous human infrastructure. Working with some of these companies, they'll find a beautiful site somewhere in rural North Carolina. North Carolina has some major financial centers and so forth, but there are still many places in the state where you're 50, 60 miles from a workforce. Here, although upstate sometimes, when you're comparing with downstate New York, downstate, you don't think of a population center. There's a tremendous population center in central New York, Mohawk Valley, as far as a resource. So there is really an untapped or a potential that's not untapped. It needs to be retapped because employers are just getting the sense now that they can draw these people. I was speaking with John Wakefield earlier that one of the great things about this job fair that we're hosting at SUNYIT today, 300 jobs right out of the gate for people, that's wonderful. The fact that you can attract upwards of 2,000 people to one of these events tells employers right away that there is a workforce, is the necessary human infrastructure to take advantage of the bricks and mortar infrastructure some of this partnership close.
Presentation. Now, are all these companies that are coming in going to be taking advantage of the governor's tax-free New York?
Great question.
Tax advantages?
The Startup New York program, absolutely. You know, you can speak to this.
I am the startup officer. They may or may not. Depends on what state benefit packages will suit them better. The state has an Excelsior program for equipment that may actually benefit them greater than doing the Startup New York, but that'll be up to them to take advantage. But the whole property of SUNY IT, including Fort Schuyler's property, is in the Startup New York bucket. So if anybody makes that partnership investment in the campus and comes there and creates those jobs, and it's a net new job, they would be eligible. But it'll be up to them to see what benefits are at a better value.
So that has not, that's still to come?
Yeah, that's going to be determined as they come. I mean, they're not going to be here for a couple more months. Actually, quite a few of them moving here from the West Coast, so that'll be a treat. Thank goodness it's going to be July and not January.
What do you mean? The Four Seasons is I think, the greatest thing about our state.
I know, you're a skier.
You guys are mentioning the job fair that you've got going on. I guess two questions. Are these jobs directly for Nano Utica, or are they for the companies that are going to be working in this facility? And is there someplace online that people can go to view them as opposed to going to the job fair today?
Okay, so a couple of answers for that. The companies are hiring directly. Some of the facility jobs, so the jobs to run the Quad C building, are either going to be with the Research Foundation of New York, which is a not-for-profit entity that serves the SUNY campus system, or they'll be a company employee. So there's two models that you may, depending on what company you go with. There's an IT company, infrastructure, there's Value Tech, which is a Gowning and White's company for clean room. And then there's A&S, as Bob mentioned, which is the primary employer. And of those three, and with the Research Foundation, that's where you get the mix of jobs. What we're trying to do is, once all the jobs get posted, they'll be on a Nano Utica web portal that you can get access right through the SUNY IT website. We'll also, we can send a link out to everybody through the foundation. And once they're up, they can be posted there, and then the companies themselves will also post them. So today, the companies haven't posted the jobs. They know what disciplines they need. Some of them actually do need to hire for this summer, so we have a few that will actually get job offers in the coming months. But the lion's share of the jobs will come probably fourth quarter of this year.
So will there be a core infrastructure team for the college that handles data centers, end user requirements, or are you looking to have each of these companies bring their own IT staff in to handle that and then integrate with central data centers?
Well, one of the tenants is an IT company called Infrastructure, and they're basically designing the entire infrastructure for the building. I would say that each company, especially A&S, will have their own IT needs that they'll have to accommodate. But the facility IT will probably be either infrastructure or a third party. The college, it's a separate entity, so we're on separate systems. We have different security platforms, but we obviously have a communication line to the college, and we're hoping a lot of our students will be served as interns to that IT. But there's pieces of it that will be A&S, and pieces that might be infrastructure, and it might be the facility that has a facility IT department to run the other tenants. So, because there's other common spaces that the other tenants won't want to manage. So, a lot of needs.